Hello everyone. In this video you will learn about the psychometric chart. Just starting with this, I will tell you an important thing. First of all, you have to check this value, right? On any psychometric chart. If this value will match with the numerical problem that you are trying to solve, then this psychrometric chart will be valid. If this value is different, which is in my case minus 1.325 kilopascal, which is approximately 1 atm, right? Then you have to decide the psychometric chart, right? So in this psychometric chart, you can see there are different lines. You can see some lines are vertical lines, as you can see, right? And some lines are horizontal, right? As you can see, as you know, there is some kind of x-axis, right? And there is a kind of y-axis, you can see, right? And there is some horizontal line, as I told you, and there are some vertical lines. But apart from these lines, there are some other lines also. Like you can see, there are curves on this chart, right? And there are some lines which are at a specific angle and lighter than these lines. These lines are also at a specific angle, but these lines are, as you can see, these lines are darker, or you can say heavier, and these lines are lighter. As you can see, these lines are lighter and these lines are heavier, or you can say thicker. So these lines represent different values on this chart, right? For example, let me tell you, these lines which are vertical, right? These lines will represent dry bulb temperature, right? And those lines which are horizontal or parallel to this some kind of x-axis, as I told you earlier, these lines will represent, listen carefully, these lines will represent specific humidity. But these curves, as you can see, these curves will represent relative humidity, right? These curves will represent relative humidity, right? These horizontal lines will represent specific humidity, and these curves will represent relative humidity, right? And the lines which are at some angles, right, as you can see, and lighter, they will represent wet bulb temperature, right? Vertical lines will represent what? Vertical lines will represent dry bulb temperature, and these lighter line will represent wet bulb temperature. And these darker lines, which are also at an angle, right, these will represent specific volume, right? It is mentioned here, specific volume, right, which has the unit meter cube per kilogram, right? And this line and these lines represent a very important thing, which is enthalpy as unit kilojoule per kilogram of dry air, right? So this is the whole thing about psychometric chart, in which the values are represented with the help of different lines. So how we will use this psychometric chart, we will see in the next video, which is totally based on a pure numerical